And we are back with more games here in the Bitsler Cup. Still early days, of course. We've got some of the preliminary matches here in the round robin. It's going to be Balrogs versus Salchipapa. I am Stinkypie, joined here by Brightside. How are you feeling going into this matchup?
Pie. Both these teams, I've seen mixed results. I know Balrog specifically in the DPC, pretty meh results. I'm curious to see how both these teams perform, though. Haven't seen much of them as of late, but we're already deep into the draft here.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, this matchup perhaps a bit lower in terms of overall supposed skill level compared to our last one. But definitely looking forward to seeing what these teams have to offer. Like you said, we've got a few picks coming out here. Bane Mirana on one side of things, pretty classic combo. But we've also got the OD and the Abaddon from the other side.
This OD first pick, not surprising to anybody that's followed the pro scene as of late. This is one of the go-to heroes. It's interesting that Salchipapa decides to go for the Bane Mirana here into the OD. OD obviously giving you that long range save capability. And then now Balrogs doubles down on that save with the Abaddon. So this Mirana pick already seeming a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sort of 1-2, very straightforward combination, but with the Abaddon, even the OD with that Astral, I'm just not convinced they'll have that impact beyond maybe just the laning phase.
And there is something to be said. The Bane Mirana combination is so powerful because it relies on the save hero being in the right spot at the right time. But the more saves you have, the easier it is to be in the right place at the right time, of course. So it will get more difficult for Salchipapa now that there's 2 saves on the board.
Yeah,
As we
yeah,
do
the
have
Abaddon
this,
though,
yeah.
pretty reliable save, but not the longest range on that. And in a similar way, perhaps the OD, with that save, if you're using it for a defensive purpose, then you can't use it for that setup with the Meteor Hammer.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And another big thing to note is that the OD is very much so this can't show himself kind of hero. So maybe you can force him to show himself by using the save, and then you go on him with your later picks. Obviously, a lot of the draft still to be had here, but that is worth noting.
Yeah, a bit of flexibility with the OD as well. Mid lane, off lane, definitely haven't shown their hand too much. Whereas the Bane Mirana, probably gonna be 2 supports. We don't really see much core Mirana these days.
It's always curious to see just how the meta develops with like these first pick heroes like OD, because initially, right, it was only off lane. And then teams were like, "Oh wait, well, why don't we just put it mid again? The year it used to be a mid laner, and now I feel like we're more seeing it only in the mid lane." So it is a flex, of course, but it's very curious to see teams figure out the meta more.
Interesting that we see the Beastmaster ban from Balrogs, considering that they have pretty good answers to that. It's a very similar thing to the Bane Mirana combo, just that single target long duration stun, but they already have the counters.
It is they have counters to the roar, but OD Abaddon, they are very lacking in the wave clear department, the tower defense just in general from those heroes. Pretty sad. Neither of them really offer anything of any kind. So trying to get rid of that early high aggression tempo from the Dire lineup, that Bane Mirana is great at playing that kind of style. So the Beastmaster ban makes a lot of sense. The Puck ban as well. Just these early aggressive heroes that could push the tempo of the game.
Going to be seeing the Anti-Mage ban coming out there, and the Phantom Lancer on the other side of things. The PL ban, to me, is especially interesting. Perhaps they want to pick up something along the lines of the Drow Ranger. There's a lot of heroes in the game that do not like playing against the PL, so it is sort of hard to predict based on that, but perhaps a bit of an indication.
It does kind of follow suit with the Beastmaster, where both those heroes punish the low wave clear from their opening. So It also perhaps gives a little insight into what kind of carries they may want. Something like a Wraith King could be on the menu for them, perhaps. But Salchipapa, they ban out the AM and they immediately pick up the Sand King. So they take out the counter, pick the Sand King, one of the more reliable heroes. You have the Mirana combination already built in. Easy Burrow Strike, arrow combo. Tried and true.
Yeah, you mentioned the Wraith King. Obviously, here he doesn't like dealing with that mana burn, and now that Salchipapa taking out the AM, that's definitely a possibility. Maybe something along the lines of Medusa as well, just a very similar hero. Doesn't like playing against the mana burn, but very tanky, can sit in front of things. Sand King throws an epicenter, might just be able to tank it up and fight through that.
Yeah, you definitely lean towards a ranged carry, most likely for Balrogs. You have double melee support duo, and Abaddon in particular loves standing in front of like a high damage core, something like Drow Ranger, Medusa, something that he can protect pretty easily with his body. But what do I know? There's the Faceless Void.
Huh, Faceless Void plus the Earth Spirit does not strike me as a particularly good combination, because the Earth Spirit with the roll gets countered pretty hard by his own Chronosphere, but on the other side of things, maybe if you roll in, it probably will involve you dying, but then, getting that vision, setting up for the Faceless Void, perhaps there could be some synergy there.
The team fight execution is weird between those heroes, but Earth Spirit covers a lot of weaknesses for the Faceless Void just in the game as a whole, right? The Void is more of like a one and done fight hero. And Earth Spirit in that downtime can be very active around the map, make plays while the Faceless Void is farming. Faceless Void is very good though with the OD in particular. This was one of the older combinations where OD just spits out raw pure damage from his Arcane Orb in the mid to late game. You chrono a core, Arcane Orb goes to town, easy kills for the Radiant.
Yeah, that's especially true if you are going to be running that mid OD, as you suggested. But we'll see. There are a couple of other obvious combinations that we see with a Faceless Void. A lot of those high damage mid heroes, like you're saying, maybe something like a Zeus, maybe something like an Invoker. But Salchipapa going for the Gyrocopter here. And that's almost certainly going to be a core Gyrocopter, right?
Yeah, this isn't like a Tundra draft where it's probably 5 gyro. This is almost guaranteed to be their off lane or their safe laner. Whoops. So when I just look at the drafts right now as a whole, Salchipapa just seems doesn't it just seems a little more cohesive, doesn't it? They've got a lot of heroes that love to play together. The Gyrocopter is great. Single target, isolated damage if they find those heroes, and plays really well off of all of these follow-up stuns. And
Yeah.
I'm
On the
kind of
other
looking.
hand, you're not too worried about getting stunned yourself because you have the Aghanim Scepter, which we're almost certainly going to be seeing. You're still putting out a lot of damage, and once you get a Satanic, you're still healing through all of it, even if you get chronoed.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. It is curious that they ban out the Timber Saw despite having one of the better carries in the Gyrocopter. Just a lot of respect being shown there towards Balrogs. As they do probably, I mean, I guess they ban an offlaner and a mid in the Invoker. So, like you said, the OD could very well be either position. So Balrogs, they get to choose here whether they want to pick up an offlaner or a mid to lane into that Gyrocopter.
Snapfire pickup here. That's obviously a nice combination with a Faceless Void, but that leaves me really wondering which hero is going to be in which role.
Is it a mid? It could be a mid Earth Spirit, something that we didn't really touch on, but the Snapfire Faceless Void combination doesn't really need to be said that AoE globs into the Chrono, but having your core be the Earth Spirit in this game would offset a lot of that high CD gameplay that the Faceless Void and even a little bit of the OD. I'm not sure entirely. They do blast pick up the Storm Spirit. It is kind of awkward into the Earth Spirit. But outside of that, pretty easy to counterplay Chrono. I guess you care about the Meteor Hammer though. I don't. The Storm pick does seem a tad weird into this Radiant lineup. I've got to say.
Yeah, maybe they're just thinking more offensively. You get the Bane Mirana combination. You want someone who's able to follow up from a long distance away. It sort of makes sense if you only look at the Salchipapa team, but once you look at Balrogs as well, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Feels a bit awkward to play.
I do like it though when I agree with you absolutely. It is more an aggressive option. I actually like it when teams do this where they've just picked into their style. This is probably a comfort pick where they've got this style that they want to play, this high aggressive, high tempo, high pick-off kind of style of game. And even though it's not the greatest Storm game, it synergizes so well with the rest of their lineup that they feel like they can make it work.
Yeah, we'll see how that matchup goes, especially if it's a mid-Earth Spirit Storm. Generally does do quite well against most melee heroes, but that's assuming it's a 1 versus 1. Especially before level 6, if we get a little bit of help rotating in, then the Storm certainly could be going down. Obviously, though, these days, a large part of playing the mid lane is about stacking those camps. The easy camp in particular, going to be farming that up. You get your supports, get your forwards to stack the triangle for you. So we'll see if they can do that. We'll see if they can accelerate their farm without stacks being contested, because both these teams
mid OD, by the way. Yeah, I believe Roba's used the mid player for this team still, so it will be that mid OD. So don't have to worry about that. But Storm is still kind of weird into the OD because he gets such an early Meteor Hammer. I feel like Storm might just get forced out of lane early, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for the support rotations towards that mid lane. Exactly like you mentioned, it's not always a 1v1.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty nasty combination, actually. Getting the Astral into a roll from the Earth Spirit could be very deadly. Do you have ZXCA rolling forward, looking to set up some early aggressive vision? We'll see if they actually do anything with that, though.
It is curious. You don't see a lot of snap offlane, right? It's one of the normally it's not the most conventional of offlaners, Mr. Draken here. It is great that you're gonna have core snap. It's gonna provide an extra damage layer into their chronosphere and to play with the Earth Spirit. It's really nice to have that high damage ranged hero with the Earth Spirit follow up. So it makes sense in a lot of ways. It's just you don't see it a lot, so I'm really curious to see how it winds up working out here.
Yeah, I wonder what we're gonna build on the core Snapfire as well, because with supports, even then there's a bit of choice. We see the Solar Crest sometimes, really synergizing with that minus armor, letting you take Roshan very early, but at least in the early stages, before the Faceless Void gets a lot of items, they actually don't have that much physical damage.
Abaddon.
Yeah, Abaddon. Pretty tanky hero, but 1 versus 3. Just gonna be going for the rune, suiciding. He does take it. He does take it, and the kill actually goes over to the Bane, so perhaps not the ideal. If the Storm Spirit was able to get that, then that would have been a really early ball, but there you go. That's the tip coming out there.
That is, of course, the other counterplay, right? If you go on the Abaddon, after he's already used the shield on himself or on an ally, very easy to stun him up, at least until he has that level 6.
Yeah, just so many offensive tools here coming out from Salchipapa.
Interesting. I was curious to see what the Sand King actually decided to skill up here. He goes for the Sandstorm level 1, and Burna actually skills the time dilation to force him out of his Sandstorm.
Yeah, that's interesting. We see the Abaddon playing very aggressively as well. Since he died, he obviously comes back full health, full mana, and 1 versus 2 just being that big bully.
He started with the Orb of Venom too, and you can't really trade, especially once you start falling behind in this HP trade-off against the Abaddon. This is where this hero just absolutely thrives. You spam out the shield, you out-trade your opponents. And Burna is going to be the real winner of this down here. He's going to completely free farm.
Already ahead in the last hits and denies. 5 for 2 there. And Faceless Void, a hero who can do a lot when he snowballs. There is a point where you get far ahead enough where you can easily find solo kills yourself in that chronosphere, so you don't even need your team to back up. And that makes it very dangerous to try and go for a gank onto a Faceless Void as well, so we'll see if he can scale into that late game.
And what's particularly dangerous about a lot of Faceless Void game is of course the chrono, like you mentioned, that insane team fight ability, and you can kill heroes in it, but just when you get all of the Q talents, you get really tanky on the hero. I look at Dire's damage output, and it's hard for them to all-in kill a hero like Faceless Void, especially if you can't chain stun him. Then you factor in the Abaddon, where he's going to always have that aphotic shield. Burna at a certain point feels like he might just be invincible.
Yeah. Defensive positioning coming out from our supports definitely going to be very important here. The OD as well with those saves. Blake did get taken quite low again. It's just our Abaddon trading very efficiently, but he is out of mana now.
Our Spirit, he'll be fine. Oh, they're actually going to kill them. And they're going to roll back in
you'll
here.
Be fine. They're going right in. Cookie comes forward, stunning 2 heroes up, but we do have the Brain Sap with that little bit of heal. Earth Spirit, though, we'll see what he can do. Apparently not finish off these kills, but he will take both of his lane opponents quite low.
He was saved. He hadn't hit level 2 yet on Gyrocopter. I was curious to see what he went, but they did a great job on Radiant of pushing the lane in. Oh! Nice roll
into the kick, into the cookie, and we have the nope, not quite there with the finish, but they will get it with the right clicks. And our man who got the first blood ends up getting taken down himself.
And this is exactly what you want your Earth Spirit to be doing. Draken, he's just sitting in the back, pumping out the damage. ZXCA taking the brunt of the force there. Beautiful kickback, though. That is much harder to do than if he makes it seem.
Bottom lane, just the Sand King going down there. Level 2 Curse of Avernus, so getting that silence, getting that slow actually works out here. And seeing how effective that was on his ally, Blink, he's just going to leap out of there before he takes too many hits.
And that is the downside to Sand King Mirana lane, is they don't have a lot of defensive capabilities as the Earth Spirit. Gets chased down there by a missile. But
are we really gonna dive this tower as an Abaddon? Solo diving on the tower. Burner's like, yep, not my problem.
That seemed like a I want to die kind of death. He's just gonna use all his resources. He was pretty much out of health and mana there, so he'll get the reset. Does feed away some gold though.
Again, that's a very good point. Might just TP back into lane, act as that courier for his Faceless Void, give him some regen. Earth Spirit here smoked up, is going to be stalking the enemy. Doesn't make the rotation down bottom just yet, which is what I thought he would be doing. Instead, seems to have eyes on our mid lane. Going to have the roll setup coming out from that Astral to kickback once again. Do get the pull in from the Storm Spirit, buying himself some time, but level 4, nowhere to run, is going to get taken down eventually.
And that's the beauty of this OD. He has so much early damage output. Just even a hero like Storm Spirit, who's one of the maybe, hey, I guess he is tankier. He has 6 armor, right? But OD just doesn't care. He denies the water rune. Okay, should have taken. Interesting.
Arrow coming out. That's not going to connect. And so we're Abaddon looking to trade. Does sort of fall off in that trading though, at least unless the Faceless Void is there. And now that the Faceless Void is there, there we go. That's going to be the double melee heroes coming in for the bully.
Draken falling low, but they're going to try and turn here. He will be fine on the gyro. Just it seems like all of these lanes for the Radiant are just going so well. They do almost bring down Draken there on the Snapfire, but the rotation from the Earth Spirit, how bottom lane's been going. Balrogs have to be exceedingly happy with how these early lanes have went.
Going for the damage here onto ZXC. I've already used the Brain Tap, but just the right clicks will do it there. Very active early game. We're only 5 minutes in, but 7 kills in total on the board.
You do have to keep in mind, one of those is a suicide from the Abaddon, so maybe dead even in theory, right?
We are going to start seeing these ultimates come online. Faceless Void, almost level 6. Mid laner's gonna hit level 6 soon as well. The Storm Spirit especially, that could be pretty big for him.
And he's got the meteor hammer flying out to him on Robo Z. So this is when the Storm's like he can't be in lane anymore, and you see Earth Spirit TP towards the mid lane even. Bottom? They trade out
They
here.
do pick up the trade there. Faceless Void does hit level 6 off that, however, so could perhaps think of going in Miranda, not the tankiest of heroes. Back up top lane, we've got the sleep coming in from the Snapfire, going to be an easy setup for that rocket. Cookie down to the low ground, going to be buying him a lot of time, actually using the extended range there from that flat cannon, but still not enough to take down Draken. Got a brain sap coming out very soon, not going to be needed. We'll loop around, they will be able to take down the offense. Snapfire. Mid lane, however.
Looks like he mistimed the hammer. Oh, he just got the leap out there, but Blake escapes, and now Robo Z.
Yeah, knowing that the hammer is on cooldown, is this really going to be a kill? We've got the arrow coming out, blocked by the Earth Spirit, however, but here comes the Bane. The sleep taken off there a bit mistakenly, and that allows them to get the turnaround. That was kind of botched execution, and now that Draken comes in, they're going to get the full cleanup here, only in exchange for the OD.
Oh, that was such clean team play there from Balrog. The Earth Spirit takes off the Nightmare. OD then gets the full hammer off, or his real ultimate. He gets the Sanity's Eclipse. Meteor Hammer was on cooldown. He gets the Sanity's Eclipse, killing off the Storm Spirit. And a great TP in here from the Snapfire. Cleans up the Bane, who may have been able to finish off the Earth Spirit.
Yeah, I think it would have been a completely different fight as well if the arrow landed onto the OD, but whether it was intentional or not, ended up being the Earth Spirit who tanked that, and that definitely came into play. But we got the smoke up here. Faceless
he has 6
Void.
on Snapfire. They have 2. They both ultis. They're just gonna drop them. Yep.
Yeah. No hesitation whatsoever. It's a kill onto the enemy position 1. And we'll see if they decide to go for the tower here or just continue farming, because we almost have the full Mask of Madness available on the Faceless Void. That's a pretty big increase in your DPS, pretty big increase in your farming efficiency.
That's such a textbook rotation there from the Faceless Void. Great smoke up. They have Chrono. They have Kisses. Very bread and butter there. And off of this, probably going to eventually get this tier 1 tower. And it's already a 2k gold lead here for Balrogs off of this laning stage. But no break. Sucks the Yogi. Maybe Chain?
Doesn't have the level 6, but still is going to be fine. Still is going to be able to survive. Kind of a missed initiation from both sides. Couldn't really connect with their spells. But if you're Balrogs, that's perfectly fine, because Burner is farming up in that top lane.
And you can see the high emphasis that this OD... This OD's creating like a vacuum in the mid lane, because the enemy team can't let him sit here and Meteor Hammer, but they separate for 1 second.
Just like that, another kill. Simple 1-2 punch, going to be getting onto this tower as well. We'll see if they can take it down. Storm Spirit does have pretty much full mana, but without the backup, going in would be pretty much suicide.
They're gonna take down the mid tier 1 9 minutes in, and they're gonna sweep right towards the gyro. He's got to be really careful here.
Just
Not
like
even
you're
gonna finish
saying,
off
it's
this.
this textbook rotation. They know exactly what they're doing, but of course, because it's so textbook, our gyrocopter knows what's up as well. So
The problem is, even if he knows what's up, he's still exceedingly sad with what's going on. He's gonna have to TP bottom. Burn is gonna take this top tier 1, and now they're just gonna smoke back. They know he probably TP'd bottom, so they're just gonna walk in here. They're gonna kill whoever shows mid. More than likely, Bane might be the sad boy.
Nice interrupt there on the roll. We'll see if that's enough to keep him alive. Gyrocopter is getting chased down. Obviously a much more important kill. We'll see if we get the connection. Apparently not just yet, though. And to be honest, if you're the Bane, you tanky gank like that, it might just be a good thing. At least allowing your gyrocopter to survive.
He survives, but look at where where is he allowed to farm? He's got like these 3 camps that he's farming right now. Those are the only camps that the Dire has available to them right now.
Meteor Hammer from the Invis room. That's going to be catching him around. That's another support going down.
brave.
And like
but
you're saying,
stupid.
just that much less space for the gyrocopter. Map control clearly in favor of Balrogs, and if you look at the net worth difference between the position ones, is a whopping 1.5k difference, which is pretty big at this point in time.
And we touched on in the draft, right? The Balrogs have a pretty aggressive lineup by nature, but when you fall behind like this, they're 3k gold behind at 10 minutes, it gets so hard to aggressively use your spells here. They're gonna try.
The roll missing might just help with that. Earth Spirit being left behind, being put to sleep. We're finally seeing the combination of the sleep into the arrow. That's going to be an Earth Spirit taken down. Fiend's Grip comes out here onto the Snapfire as well. Where is the follow-up damage? It's going to come from that epicenter, but now the Cronus here. Will the turnaround? Can we get a couple of bashes? Sanity's Eclipse comes out as well. They take down the Storm Spirit, probably going to be cleaning up the Bane as well. So far, definitely a better trade for Balrogs just because they take down the Storm. We're not done yet though. Abaddon pops that ultimate. Nice free man Burrow Strike though. Can't really connect on much else damage. Robo Z still fighting through all of it. Does have the mana as well. Eventually will get taken down, and finally our Earth Spirit comes right back in, drops the ultimate. Magnetize going to be dealing a lot of damage. Can it actually finish off these kills? This fight is going on for so long. Our Storm comes in with a second life. Is able to clean up a couple of kills, but you do want to be able to get the Faceless Void. Far more important than any of the supports. Not going to be successful.
That was the longest fight I've ever seen. What in the world is going on? It does wind up being relatively even, right? The Storm dies. The Sand King dies, but they do get the OD kill, as well as the Snapfire kill. So a lot of trading of the cores here, but Burna gets some kills, lives throughout that entire fight. He continues to reign supreme on that Faceless Void. And even trades are behind are pretty good for the Dire, but not when your Storm's dying. He's really their X factor, right? You need him to be having a good game. And it's just not working right now.
Gonna be taking down a Sand King there. ZXCA being very active. Even when it doesn't work out, even when his rolls miss, he is still there forcing fights, and this time it is gonna work out for them. I do have to wonder though, supposing this goes into the late game, which team do you think is favored?
I think I still favor the Radiant. First off, they have Chrono into Storm Spirit, right, which is obviously great, but the combination of the Dire is just only going to get harder. You get more levels on Abaddon, you get the Blink on OD, you get an Ags on him, so the saves get easier to use. And honestly, I feel like at a certain point, like this single target combination from the Dire, even if it connects cleanly, I don't know if they'll have the damage eventually. As they will smoke up here. Chrono is up in 8 seconds, though.
Yeah, this could be very scary. The full 5-man lineup of Balrogs is sitting together. They really want to go for this. They want to defend their tier 2 tower, of course. That's a lot of Roshan access. Gonna be putting our Faceless Void to sleep. Epicenter, he's teasing us here. They just don't have the numbers, really.
Storm Storm wants to come late to this, so they want to start the fight and then Storm come in from behind, but they don't really want to initiate on the Abaddon. He's got the OD behind him, he's got his ulti. They don't want to initiate on the OD, they know the Abaddon will probably save him, so who are they really going on?
I'm actually thinking Balrogs might be the ones who go for the dive under the tower. If they can ever get eyes on the Sand King, if they can control him. Not going to be getting the silence out onto the Bane. Not actually following up just yet. Burna comes forward. Not going to use the Chrono. Doesn't have an easy target, but they might just be able to get the tier 2 tower, which is probably more towards there.
It's just a bit weird there from the Dire, right? It looked like half their team didn't want to fight that, but the other half wanted to. So, maybe not on the same page there, or maybe they just couldn't find the opening, but either way, free tier 2 for Balrogs as they continue to dominate the map.
Absolutely perfect.
And the logical follow-up after that, of course, is going to be the outpost. So with the tier 1 tower down as well, it's going to be pretty hard for Salchipapa to access Roshan, or at least contest it, if Balrogs try to go for that.
And this is another reason why OD holds so much stock right now. Now that they have hold that stock.
Yeah, in the mid lane, we'll see if the initiation is enough. Yule Scepter with a very nice save. Magnetize coming out as well. So much damage from that. Earth Spirit, however, can he roll out? He's done a lot of damage. Is going to get taken down, but it costs the Storm so much mana to finish him off. Yeah, the Chrono comes out. Not enough damage from the Snapfire to actually finish off the Gyrocopter. Will get him eventually with the bashes, however. And the slow coming out onto the Bane as well. Should be able to clean that up, but a cheeky snipe on the backlines that might just cost our Mirana her life, especially as the Moonlight Shadow dissipates. And it's going to be a pretty big victory there, coming out from Balrogs.
Just such overwhelming team fight from the Radiant. They get the Chrono, they have the Kisses, they have the Sanities. And it's just so hard for Dire to function into this OD. Speaking of OD, hello, Bane. Goodbye, Bane. Oh,
does
goodbye,
turn
Bane.
around, but here comes the Earth Spirit.
They got him.
Not much to say there, really. The second any support gets astraled, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, and it is a bit on the... It's not all the draft salt, but it was a first pick OD, and they didn't pick any long-range stuns, really. It's just the arrow, which is pretty unreliable, I'd say. So, you know, when you talk about OD channeling his Meteor Hammer, they don't have a lot of natural ways to cancel him, stun him from afar, which, you know, maybe they don't feel it's valuable, but could be very helpful here as they go on to...
Yeah, holding on to the stun because they know the Abaddon is nearby. Storm Spirit with the zip in will not find the connection. Do you really want to go on the Abaddon here? He gets saved by the OD anyway. They can't even pop the Borrow Time. They're still going to try and commit. Borrow Time finally coming out. Earth Spirit with the roll, with the Magnetize as well. Full on chase here. And with the Earth Spirit, that's pretty much a guaranteed kill onto the Bane. They get Mirana as well. Aggressive movement from Salchipapa really backfiring there.
2 picks, that'll probably be Roshan. I see Burna posting outside of it. The benefit of having OD right now, now that his Q works on Rosh, the Arcane Orb, they can very easily just walk into the pit, snatch up a free Aegis. There's even a DDS on the pit. How great of a game. Thank you, Ice Frog.
Yeah, Ice Frog sending them the not-so-hidden messages here. What is not going to really help with the Roshan is the fact that the Snapfire is maxing the lower Shredder last, so you don't have that much minus armor. But it might not matter anyway. There's so much damage coming out, like you're saying. It will be able to take this pretty easily. Arrow coming in just a second too late to scout things out. Dust there. It is onto the Gyrocopter, but the Abaddon doesn't have that many initiation tools himself. It's a bit of a different story for Burner. Is going to come forward here. The Storm Spirit, how did he get picked off? That's huge. And without the Storm Spirit, there's just no way Salchipapa can fight. Burner in the front lines is going to be able to pick off the Bane. What more can we do? Are we really going to go for the counter initiation? Do they have the damage off the faceless void? The Astral with this save. Arrow is not going to connect, and Burner, he will be perfectly fine. Will get healed up by his Abaddon. Still holds on to the ultimate, still has the Aegis. It's going to be very hard for Salchipapa.
This Blink Dagger on Robo-Z absolutely changed the dynamic of how they can take fights. He Blink catches the Storm, they get that kill, and then he Blink saves his Faceless Void. It was maybe not needed because he does have the Aegis, but regardless, this extra range from the OD absolutely changing the fight. And now you've really got to wonder...
Toy as well. Just that extra bit of initiation. Robo-Z, though, is by himself. There's a Storm Spirit in the area. They do see him. Meteor Hammer gone. Can we go for something? It would be a great kill. He's not the one with the Aegis here. Coming in with that Zip. Electric Vortex.
Does have the Astral.
That Astral being used offensively means he won't have it to save himself from the rocket, but it might not be needed since the rest of his team comes in. No need for the cookie when you've got a Yule Scepter, and that is going to be a very dead Gyrocopter. That ain't great.
He got tipped by his own teammate. Oh no. Dyer's in shambles.
They really are in so many ways. The net worth, it's looking pretty bad for them, but strategically, it just doesn't feel like they have any recourse to this 5-man death ball coming out from Balrogs.
And it really does just come down to their damage output. And first off, the Abaddon pick from Balrogs was a stroke of genius in the draft there. It absolutely countered everything it looked like Dyer wanted to do. And a lot of... I really got a question, right? Do you let OD through again, man?
Yeah, arguably the most popular hero in this meta. And really picking the Mirana Bane into the OD, I mean, we just saw an amazing save with that Astral. You do have to find it a bit questionable there.
I mean, absolutely. Game's not over yet. It is 12k goalie at 21 minutes, but what's the timing here for Dyer? Is it BKB on Gyro? He's not even queuing up BKB. They're gonna get the roll.
Yeah, full on dive into the tier 3, sleep from the Bane, not nearly as good as the Astral. That's gonna be a kill, and of course,
keep him coming.
Self in danger. This is going to be a very deep dive leap. Pretty good spell here. We do have the Chronosphere still. Are we going to see it used? That's going to be a Chrono onto the Gyro. Kisses for the damage. Even under his own tier 4 towers getting taken down there. And our Gyrocopter, I don't want to blame him personally, but it's just been a terrible game for him the entire time. Starting out from the laning phase, just did not get to play his game at all.
And honestly, Balrogs just seemed a step ahead. Right after the Faceless Void got level 6, right? He makes that move top. They get the Chrono kill onto him. They then just follow the Gyrocopter bottom. And because Dyer isn't able to make any aggressive plays, really, he just gets no farm on the map. There's an aggressive play.
Yeah, Starsbreak coming in with the zip grip there onto the Snapfire as well, but there's just not enough follow-up quite yet. And yes, you do take down a couple of heroes, but can you deal with Faceless Void, who has that A? Just looks like for now the answer is yes. Burrow Strike is there. Can we get some follow-up CC? Apparently not.
He's
Faceless
got
Void
the
going to be time walking out there. They are still going to keep chasing.
He's so far gone.
Yeah, you get the talents, as you were saying. Time Walk talents is just so hard to kill him. He's got the shard as well.
That shard is so insane. It increases it by 400, right? Yeah, increases Time Walk by 400 cast range, and then he has the minus 1.5 second Time Walk CD talent. It just gets so difficult to kill him inside of your stuns.
Still signs of life coming out from Salchipapa. They do lose their mid racks, but at least they get a couple of kills. In the chaos, the Starsbreak can do a lot, especially when you're near the fountain. You have that easily accessible regen. But no letting up here from Balrogs. Blink Hex, that Blink Dagger, it's done so much work. And
he has a
pretty straightforward kill.
There's no survival for that guy. For the Sand King, he has a gem on the OD. And they just go right back at it, right? It was like a small little like blip maybe. They get the OD kill, but they just regroup here on Balrogs.
Stupid.
And what's the answer to this group up from Balrogs, right? Does Dyer have an answer?
Chronosphere coming up from the Faceless Void, and I mean, we saw a bit of an attempt at an answer with the sleep from the Bane, but yeah, just really not that effective. Straight onto the tier 3 tower. They don't even need creeps.
Creeps are in mid. They're more than happy to just tank this up. Earth Spirit, Abaddon, Faceless Void, they can all tank it up if they want to. They're gonna smoke up here though.
This could be big. Salchipapa, who do they want to get onto? Looks like it's the Faceless Void. Time walks the hell out of there. Grip out onto the OD. Where is our follow-up damage? Nice stun coming in from our Snapfire, just turning things around. Finally, the Chrono is going to be there. It's going to be onto the Gyro. They get some lovely ultra kill there with that Sanity's Eclipse. And that probably is just going to be game.
And this was a drubbing, gotta say. From the early landing stage, the draft, the mid-game moves, Balrogs was just, they just had their number this game.
really doesn't feel like the gyrocopter did anything at all. Just spent most of its time farming and then just dies. And is that really a problem of the player, or is it just down to the draft? Do you think?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I think that team move where Balrogs, they go top, they force gyro, they kill the gyro, then he TP's top, and then he has to like TP back bottom, or so he runs top, TP's bottom. I think the fact that Balrogs could get away with chasing the gyro like that spoke a lot to the draft, because Salchipapa, you just saw throughout the game, they didn't have a lot of plays to make. They were trying to take these fights into the double save that we mentioned of Balrogs, and then the aggressive tempo brought by the Earth Spirit. They just never really seemed to be able to find kills cleanly in this game, and a lot of that is on draft, I'd have to say.
We'll see if they give themselves some better tools to play around with in the next game. This is a best of 2. So we'll be right back with that in just a second. And we're back with game number 2 here. Salchipapa versus Balrogs. Pretty dominating performance from Balrogs here. Honestly, only felt like we got half a game of Dota.
If that, really. We got the laning stage, maybe. I'm certainly hoping for a closer game 2 as we dive into the draft. OD, gone. Don't have to deal with it. Balrogs, they ban it themselves.
Absolutely
Salchipapa,
perfect.
they do have the first pick as we dive right in.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah. OD obviously was a pretty big part of the Balrogs' victory. Pretty good laning phase, got a nice and early meter hammer, did get some pretty nice setups, did get some pretty nice saves as well. Just the power of that Blink Dagger with the initiation. Another initiation hero actually getting taken out, that's going to be the Spirit Breaker. But Salchipapa going to be going for the Weaver here.
Untouched last game. Pretty abnormal given the current state of this meta. So the Salchipapa, they'll first pick it up themselves. It was really the last big priority hero though, right? You IO banned, OD banned, Spirit Breaker banned.
10 seconds.
Next
remaining.
on the tier list probably comes Weaver. They snatched that one up.
5 seconds remaining.
Balrogs, on the other hand, though, they get the Void Spirit, and I want to say that's one of the better heroes when it comes to getting on top of a Weaver, silencing him with the axe, and actually taking him down before he can do anything in the fights. But they do have the Grimstroke as well, and in my opinion at least, Weaver pretty good against the Grimstroke because you have that Gemini which gives you the extra attacks, great for taking down the Grimstroke Phantom.
Yeah, the Weaver very good at killing off the silence Phantom's Embrace bug, as you said, but you're picking this for the combination. So the silence is obviously really nice, and it'll probably be important later into the game, but you're picking it for Inkswell. End of the day,
10
this
seconds remaining.
Grimstroke, you Inkswell up your Void Spirit, he goes ham, he runs into the
5
fight.
seconds remaining.
Maybe you get a really nice Soulbind off here. That'll be really important to keep in mind as Salchipapa, they pick up the Ember Spirit, who is very susceptible to a hero like Grimstroke.
Dire team ban.
Yeah, early pickup on the Ember Spirit as well. Normally we see it 4th or even 5th picked. A very mobile hero can do a lot in the right situation, but once you get controlled, then really you don't have any proper survival skills. Flame Guard honestly doesn't really make you that much tankier, so we'll see how that goes for them.
It is a good lane matchup though for the Ember Spirit, especially since they buffed his level 1 Flame Guard. It's now pretty much impossible for Void Spirit to pop the Flame Guard at any level. So Ember Spirit always gets his farm. He'll get his early items in levels. So the question will be, how does Salchipapa, with this decent lane matchup, what do they do after that? They take out the Faceless Void. They say, we're done with that hero. Balrogs looked too good with it, I guess, last game.
Yeah, Faceless Void, plenty of setups, and it really wasn't just about the setup. You had so much follow-up as well. The Mortimer's Kisses we saw plenty of, the damage coming in from the OD, getting nice Sanity's Eclipse on top of everything. So denying that whole combination, Balrogs definitely need some form of clear-cut initiation, I want to say. The Void Spirit with the Inkswell, yes, it's a very nice combination, but it's not all that guaranteed.
I wonder how all in Balrogs will be. And by that I mean when you play Grimstroke drafts, it's really nice when you have multiple heroes that benefit from Inkswell. So they could go the route of something like an Earth Spirit that we saw last game. ZXCA looked really nice on it last game. It works really well with the Inkswell in this game as well if they wanted to go that route. But you don't have to all in. You already have one really nice synergy between these heroes. Maybe they opt to go for more of a Weaver counter or something else entirely.
Weaver, we'll see what position it's played at. Usually it is a support in these pro games, but at least in pubs, core Weaver's still very popular.
Maybe especially if you're Mason, he's the I mean, he loves his Weaver, but normally a support, like you said. Those bugs, man. The Q is so powerful. I get annoyed thinking about playing versus it. So annoying.
Weaver, pretty good defensive hero, of course, but you need a lot of farm to get up there, which sometimes can be an issue. Took a very long time to think about this ban, Salchipapa. They are going to be banning out the Queen of Pain, which is interesting because in theory, the Ember Spirit can have a good matchup into the Queen of Pain, but it's very skill-based.
We have also seen though this Queen of Pain hero being run more and more in the safe lane. So it could have just been we're not going to pick great lockdown maybe for the QoP, so we're just not even going to worry about it. If they ran it safe lane, it could just run over whatever they're planning to pick.
No, that's very true, actually. The Kaya and Sanj build, especially, we see so much. Honestly, Kaya and Sanj probably picked up the most out of all of those Sanj, Kaya, Yasha items.
It is immensely powerful right now. The status resistance component, coupled with the mana reduction and the spell amp, is also just neatly tied. Tie a English is hard. Tie a bow around it. There you go. You got a nice little doodad.
5 seconds remaining.
Probably going to be seeing Kaya and Sanj at some point on the Void Spirit, too. Taking out the Abaddon, that's interesting, perhaps indicating that Balrogs want to go for something a little more initiation heavy, which is something that we said they needed. Beastmaster perhaps still in the pool, maybe something cheeky like a Magnus.
I think you hit the Beastmaster spot on. That seems like it could be a phenomenal pickup here. Weaver doesn't deal great with the boars early on if it is a 5 Weaver. Ember Spirit, very susceptible to the roar right now. And again, it's more of a, do you have tower defense heroes? And right now, Salchipapa doesn't have those great tower defense mechanisms. The Tidehunter ban from Salchipapa is also weird because it looks like they're expecting that Balrogs to pick up a Tide, but I would be way more scared of like a Beastmaster-esque lockdown hero than a Tidehunter right now.
Pretty slow draft, actually, all things considered. Not much reserve time left in either of these teams really thinking about these bans.
This is normally, this draft spot right here for Balrogs is like, this is the setup spot. So you normally use your time to prep the ban, and then you get the immediate pick right here. They go for the Rubik. So that's normally why teams spend so much time, because you're mapping out that entire second phase there for them.
Well, Rubik, a pretty nice hero to have against the Ember Spirit. The instant lift. No way for the Ember Spirit to dodge that with any fancy footwork. And against the Weaver, it can be pretty nice too, especially once you get an Aghanim Scepter. But even just the Shikuchi being very elusive makes it very nice to run away or even initiate as the Rubik.
Yeah, and then you factor in here, Salchipapa's probably picking some sort of stunner or wave clear hero. So either of those, Rubik loves playing versus those kinds of heroes, and well, there you go. You can get Spear now. So works out quite well for them. I wonder, Mars is good in theory against Void Spirit. You go the Yules build, and then you guaranteed get the Spear connection off of the Yules. It works versus all of the Spirit heroes. So I don't mind that pick at all, but I don't know. It seems like they're just not gonna have damage again, right? And they go for even. Okay.
Well, maybe that's one way of getting their damage output. Really remains to be seen who their position 1 is going to be. Likely going to be the mid-ember, likely going to be the offlane Mars. But the Ogre, combined with the Weaver as well, those bugs providing the minus armor, maybe that can help their position 1 really step up this game, because in our last game, I really didn't feel their position 1 at all. The Gyrocopter just fell behind in farm and couldn't really join team fights from there.
Maybe. It just, the damage output from Salchipapa seems quite lackluster at the moment. I think something like a Wraith King for Balrogs could just be some phenomenal pick, right? You look at Salchipapa's lineup, it's all about the arena combination. Do they have the damage to dump into that arena? Kinda.
Radiant team ban.
But they're gonna go a different route. So equally as good, I'd say PL lanes phenomenally against the Mars in general. But
Yeah.
outside of Ember Spirit, not great answers.
That Ember Spirit does have me a bit worried though. Once you get up in the items, the Sleight of Fist, generally considered to be pretty good against the PL.
It's okay. I'd say there's hard counters to PL, and then there's pseudo counters. I'd say Ember Spirit probably falls more along the pseudo counter role, where you're good against him. You have decent AOE. The Sleight of just Maelstrom, Sleight of Chains, yeah, the Sleight of Fist plus Maelstrom is pretty good. But once PL gets 2 to 3 items, the Ember's damage kind of falls off a cliff. So in that sense, it kind of is underwhelming.
Yeah, definitely a lot of heroes on Salchipapa who don't like having their mana drained. The Mars, a hero who really needs mana to cast his spells, but just doesn't have the biggest mana pool, so you get the Diffusal play that could be very pesky to deal with. But the Alchemist coming out from Salchi, wow.
Salchipapa didn't ban a hero with their last ban. They ran out of time, so they just didn't ban a hero. That is, I haven't seen that one in a while.
Well, at least they didn't get the random pick. I think losing a ban is much better than randoming a pick.
That's true. It's just it's rather strange to see any sort of competitive team do that. So they pick up the Alchemist. It is an older style of counter to the PL where you get your items faster than PL. You get one wave clear item, and when you're an item up on PL, you can always fight him and run him down. Is kind of the idea that they're going for here. The question's going to be is if he gets that space. I love this last pick Slardar coming out from Balrogs.
Just that initiation that they need, the tanky frontliner, great synergy with the Grimstroke Inkswell too.
Absolutely, and it's that initiation that you mentioned they needed, but it's also that lane bully that Alchemist hates playing verse, right? Alchemist, a hero, he's really weak early, and then he wants to have a decent lane and then transition into the jungle afterwards, but he hates getting kicked into the jungle early. And so Slardar, a hero that can absolutely punish a melee hero like the Alchemist, kick him out early, and then we saw how great Balrogs were at chasing the carry around the map out of farm. I feel like that could very well happen again.
Yeah, even if they weren't killing him directly, they were still able to deny that space, forcing suboptimal farm patterns. And yeah, I mean, Alchemist, he doesn't have the highest starting armor against this Slardar, who's just that lane bully. He's got a lot of armor to begin with, a lot of raw HP. Could be rough, especially with, honestly, either the Grimstroke or the Rubik, providing that extra bit of damage, really zoning throughout. It's going to be so hard for the Alch. Stacks are going to be very important, as always. We'll see if he can get there.
There's not amazing Ags carries. That's always something you have to consider when a team picks Alchemist is, do you have these like game-changing Ags? But I mean, Embers is good. It got pretty heavily nerfed though, if you remember in the last patch. Weaver's also decent, but also got pretty heavily nerfed. Bars is underwhelming, Ogre underwhelming, so there's no like we get this Ags, we win the game kind of hero, it feels like. So
yeah, if anything, it almost seems like the shards would be more useful for the side of Salchipapa, but obviously as the Alchemist, you can only give the Aghanim Scepter, not the shard.
Okay, you had me questioning myself. I was like, wait, can you give shards? I was like, wait. But yeah, I believe you can only give the Ags. So, this laning stage is critical for Radiant here. It just feels like Balrog has, once again, they set up really great lanes, right? PL has a good lane matchup. Slardar has a great lane matchup. Void Spirit got counterpicked in theory, but I feel like he'll still do just fine against the Ember Spirit.
Cheeky ward shenanigans coming in here. Just testing the vision with Rubik. He gets the tower hit on him. Does get the D ward, but does he pay with his life? Slow coming out from the God's Rebuke. You've got the Ignite as well. And not to mention the Weaver. Great hero for chasing things down. That's going to be a pretty easy first blood. Hard to say if it's worth that ward, honestly.
We are already seeing the nuisance that is this Weaver. Sexy Yogi just getting chased. He's gonna get... He could be in trouble here.
Yeah, might even have to deny to Roshan. Nope, just hits Roshan once, walks out of
This
the
is
pit.
even if he lives, this is a lot of damage. I think he's just dead. Yeah, he's just dead.
Yeah, it might actually be better to die here so you don't have to waste any of that regen. He's gonna get sent back to base. His courier gonna do the sad walk with the Sal.
He does get the block on the hard camp, I believe. I think that blocks it. I can't quite tell. It's like in the trees. It may or may not be blocking the hard camp. Hard to say.
Yeah, it's sort of on the edge.
But already, this Weaver pick looking great for Salchipapa. That is a much better start than the last game. 2 kills to their name already.
Yeah, and we were talking about the Weaver needing farm to scale into the late game, get that Aghanim Scepter. That might just be happening. And the Grimstroke taken solo once again. Yes, he's got a lot of tangles to burn through, but that's also tangles that you aren't able to give to your position 1 there.
Zilib taking a lot of damage from the nukes of both these heroes. And that is, of course, you know, all this harass goes on to the Grimstroke, but Burna pretty much untouched still. Although he is doing significantly worse in the CS department compared to last game.
Pretty much had an entirely free lane last time around. Can we finish off this kill? Gemini, pretty good early ability, but taken very low on the Weaver. Fairy Fire will keep him safe. Can they actually kill Burna? Because they do have the Spear and Rebuke up in just a second. It's gonna decide it's a little too hard to go for that kill.
He didn't pop his stick there on the Grim. He actually probably would have lived off of the Geminate attack, but just doesn't get the stick off. Had a 10 charge there, so that'll be unfortunate.
Absolutely perfect.
Dying on the supports, not the end of the world, but you feed too many of them over. You get an early blink on the Mars, perhaps the Yule Scepter that you were talking about. Things could be hard for you later down the line.
And it's tough because Burna, this matchup is great for PL once you have levels, but right now, because his Grimm's died a couple times, they're behind in levels, they're behind in farm already in this top lane. And a little bit of a snowball effect coming in as the Mars, he's going to get these early damage tank items. I think he has a Breeze Boots coming out right now, never mind, I take that back. So it should in theory get harder for Burna.
Absolutely perfect.
Mid lane, pretty quiet for now. Both of them doing okay in farm. Slight edge there for Robo Z. I think once we hit level 6 though, that's where the game is really gonna kick off.
Yeah, absolutely. But this lane's gonna be a farm fest. Neither of them can really kill each other as they get more levels. For me, it's gonna be the level 6s and then the power res. That's always the name of the game. You're playing 2 spirit heroes. These heroes always historically thrive off of getting these rotation runes, if you want to word it a slightly different way.
Yeah, you pick up one of those runes, go for a gank on the side lanes, maybe take down the Alchemist, take down the Phantom Lancer. That could be great for you. Up top lane, they are able to finally take down the Mars, but is Burna gonna pay for it? Shikuchi up there, Fairy Fire, that could be big. Nope, still not enough. Like, dominating streak now. Can you actually take on the Grimstroke as well? He does get the kill, but finally goes down there. Ooh boy.
Bloodbath up there. Everybody's dead. Definitely, I'd say that probably favors the Radiant slightly, but I think the PL is very happy. He got the kill and the solo experience for the Mars. Or no, not the solo experience. He got the kill on the Mars, right?
In comparison, pretty quiet down bottom. No, have I spoken too soon? The Alchemist is going to be able to survive Blake coming in there. And we'll see how the chase is onto the Rubik. He's got the earn charges, of course, because of so many kills coming out in that top lane. 3 versus 2.
That is a wild rotation. Weaver TP's bottom. So Burna is going to be completely soloing, free farming in the top lane. And while that's happening, Sexy Yogi, he TP'd mid, and they killed the Ember.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, so much action here. The level 6 popping off mid lane, as we were saying, but just the rotations coming out.
Now they're going to go on the top. The Weaver's still not here. He might just die on the Mars.
Yeah, this is going to be huge if they can pick him up back to back. He doesn't even have a TP to get back into the lane, but the spear buys him so much time there. He's able to survive or not, because here comes the Void Spirit, but missing on all of his spells. Literally every single spell missed.
He hit the E, but he has raindrops on the Mars. But this rotation from Weaver, it's just so strange. So he goes bottom, and while that happens, his mid dies, his top lane is a draw, and then their top lane almost dies. He comes back only to now steal the top lane experience. While that's happening, his bottom lane now dies. So it just feels like Balrogs are just kind of playing him a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, sort of just overactive even. And losing your Alchemist, that's obviously going to be terrible. He's only level 4 here. Stun comes out onto the Grimstroke. He is level 5, does have the stick, will be able to survive for now. Trying to turn around here with the Inkswell. They get the stun onto the Mars. Losing the life of the Grimstroke would be okay if they can finish him off. But Burna, he can't do it at all. Ends up dying. Blake, so much damage coming out from him with the earn charges and the Shikuchi. Down bottom lane, more action here, lifting up the Alchemist. Who's gonna die first? Looks like it's gonna be the Ogre. The question is, can the Alchemist turn things around? 1 versus 2, he just doesn't have the damage.
Here comes Blake, though, to save the day.
Yeah, he already had a dominating streak. That got reset. He's right back up to a mega kill streak here now, going for the dive onto Zed. XCA minus armor, earn charge. The bugs do the job.
Dude, this Weaver hero is ridiculous. Blake is putting on a clinic right now. I flamed him a little bit. I thought it was a little questionable for his rotation, that first rotation, but TP's bottom cleans up the gank, but no break.
Mid lane, once again, taking down the Ember Spirit. It's almost like history's repeating itself. You know, Weaver goes bottom, loses the mid laner. Last time it happened, the Mars was taken pretty low, but now that he's got level 6, I think killing the Mars is going to be a pretty tough call.
I don't think it's coincidence, though, right? You say it's a repeat of history, but Burna, despite the level disadvantage, he can solo lane versus
Weaver, though, this time will get taken down. At the time-lapse, can't use it. And without the Weaver, still going to be going in on the Ember Spirit. He's got 2 more Remnant charges if he really needs them, but that silence so effective. But the second it's out, maxed out Sleight of Fist, that's going to be effective in taking him down. Do you really want to go for more here? Void Spirit, gotta be careful.
This game is just utter chaos, but we are starting to see, right, the Grimstroke, he has the level 3 Inkswell, Void Spirit. Now they can start playing together and getting these kills. We've already seen it a couple times. So I imagine Grimstroke here. I'm wondering if they're gonna look to make any sort of rotation, or just maybe they're just gonna kill the Ogre. Yep, goodbye Ogre.
Yeah, Ogre Spirit, it's a kill. You'll take that, but you'd much rather get something else. On the bright side, though, you don't really commit too much to kill him. Still having a couple of astral charges.
And that's what makes this potent combination so deadly, but they smoke on a ward, I believe.
I like your style.
Yeah, makes sense for them to be going for this constant action. We'll see if they can actually find anything. Down bottom lane, that's going to be the TP in from the Mars. Missing on the Spear, still might be able to get this kill anyway with the Weaver. But actually the minus armor, it's super effective against the Mars here. Draken is taken quite low, gets the bash out. Is going to be able to take down the Mars, that loses his own life once the Ember Spirit comes in. It's going to be a pretty straightforward cleanup there from Balrogs, and a large part of it was due to the failed smoke. Like you were saying, smoking under a ward. Salchipapa knew what was going on, so they made a play on the other side of the map.
Yeah, but the fact that the Mars dies there is okay if you're Balrogs, because that is a huge commitment there from the Radiant. The Mars TP's down there, uses the arena, he still dies. So they trade 2 for 1 offlane for offlaner before dying as well. I'd say Balrog's
Arena
very
clearly
happy
the
with that.
largest threat here. Not too sure about that one, actually. Weaver just trying to cut the waves, it seems. Ends up getting taken down, just no respect for the enemy, and Ogre Magi really doesn't stand much of a chance either.
And we are going to start getting to this point, right? Weaver, he is a laning hero through and through. So once that laning stage, you start transitioning into that mid-game phase, it gets a lot more difficult to maneuver the map as a squishy little bug, now that there's some levels and farm on these heroes.
Yeah, very different to that core Weaver. We'll see if he can keep up in farm, remain relevant, get the Ags, which is such a large part of the game of the Weaver late game.
He's going to go for the Vessel first, pretty standard, and then the Yules. I think both of those are going to be needed this game. Yules to deal with the silences that'll come out of the Void Spirit eventually.
Just prioritizing his own survival can be that setup as well for the Mars. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Mars' own Yules. And speaking of, going to be going for the Blink Dagger there.
Yeah, and while this is happening, both of the carries have gotten some space, finally. Of course, whenever you trade off carry farm, the team with the Alchemist will be naturally winning that trade. As we say that, oh my goodness, there's more battling.
Chain Stun is good, finally seeing the Arena of Blood being used to good effect. Now going for the tower, actually trying to defend here on the Rubik, but he's all by himself. Stolen Chains, does that do enough? Ogre with the Ignite is going to steal that kill. And just more heroes bleeding out. That's going to be the mid tower taken down as well. Although on the backside Draken, he does get the kill onto the Weaver.
The mid tower is going to be fine. They have the glyph and Draken is here. They will hold on to their mid tier 1, and that'll be the Cardi dying. So no towers off of that off of the big Cardi wave coming in.
Yeah. Mid tower surviving now, going right back the other way. Nice CC there onto the Ember Spirit. Can they finish him off in the time? Yes, they can. Well, Ember Spirit dead, but going to be trading back with the kill onto Draken. Blake, we're talking about his damage falling off, but he's able to chase freely. That's perfectly fine. Going to be diving under the tower there. Robo-Z, though, still pretty healthy, a bit low in mana, doesn't have an Astral Step charge, but it's not going to be needed to finish off the Weaver there.
He dies right. That was interesting. He dies mid. Right as the cast ends for the time lapse. I guess he didn't get the HP. Yeah, that was interesting, but just a bit deep there from Salchipapa. I don't know what they were fully expecting from that dive, but the last second Ink Swell onto the Void Spirit there pretty much seals their fate. As they just dive for a Grimstroke and get absolutely caught with their pants down, it looks like.
Going in with a stun onto the Void Spirit, but at this point in time, the Alchemist, he's going for the Radiance. He honestly doesn't offer too much in terms of damage, so if it's the Alchemist there, you're not going to be getting any kill.
And it is a bit concerning, right? You know, you normally talk about Alchemist. When this hero's in the game, he wants to be up multiple thousands of net worth. He's only up 400 on this Void Spirit. Who, by the way, they find the Ember Spirit.
Well, yeah, Ember Spirit getting caught up. There's Stolen Remnant, so much damage coming out. They are going to get the kill once again traded back, but taking down the Ember Spirit this early on, that is great. That's a lot of chase. Well, we've already used the Arena. What can our Mars offer? Missing on that Spear, that's pretty big. Alchemist joining the fight, doesn't have the Radiance. We won't be able to finish this off, but still, a pretty big victory coming out for Salchipapa.
You absolutely take that big kill here onto the Slardar, but they're going to go back on Mars.
Yeah, taking quite a few tower hits there as well. The magic damage from the Astral Step will be enough, but the multicast sealing the fate of Robo-Z. Burner did show up in that fight, but now he's extremely low. Does pop the stick charge. Will be able to survive for now. Doppelganger away With the Radiance finally online with the Alchemist, he's pretty strong at this point. Is kind of squishy still, but he offers a fair bit of damage there. Silence onto the Weaver, taken down once again. And now, can we take down the Alchemist? As I was saying, he's just not that tanky. Yes, you have the Radiance damage, but against the minus armor of Draken to even get the bash. Bonus kills on top of the Alchemist to get the Ogre as well.
Things were actually looking really good there for the Radiant, right up until they go for that play. And Alchemist, he's the one that's supposed to be hitting the creeps, getting the farm, getting really massive. Instead, he shows up and dies. Deaths like this on a hero like Alchemist who thrives on being ahead, it sets you back so much more than any other sort of typical carry.
Robo Z nearly catching up in net worth. Certainly if he gets this kill as well, the minus armor onto the Mars. Yes, you're a tanky boy, but two heroes wailing away at him. Drops the arena. That is not good. Drops the arena, still goes down. And just like that, Robo Z's neck and neck with our Alchemist.
It's not just the Robo Z, who's obviously playing very well in the Void Spirit, but look at the other cores. It's not just the Void Spirit. Right? It's Alchemist, very closely by Void Spirit, and then PL Slark, followed by 3 Radiant. It's all of the cores on Balrogs are having very good games still, and the Mars
Chain
and
stun
Ember
out
are
onto the Void Spirit, not enough to simulate for the disengage. Still might be able to chase him down though. Dual Scepter to purge off that urn, right down into the Shikuchi. Astral step away, Robo Z will be surviving. Cast stun this time onto the Rubik, has the Shikuchi buying some time. Can he actually survive? The tip of the spear catches him there. So that's going to be a kill, that's going to be a tower. Alchemist, can he get back on track?
Kobe. We didn't mention it. I just wanted to talk briefly about the Echo Saber on Slardar. So not the conventional itemization from him, but he's kind of recognized he doesn't need to start the fights. He just needs to be this tanky, brawly frontliner. And he, now at 2100 HP on the Slardar, he can absolutely do that as they find the Ember.
That Ember is going to get taken down. Slardar, we'll see if that tanky damage is going to be enough. So much roll DPS coming out from them. And now that the Phantom Lancer, he's got his items as well, it's so easy for him to deal with the Alchemist. Just the combination, so much single target physical damage combined with the Corrosive Haze, it can take down anyone, it seems.
Yeah, and we're really starting to see the glory of the Slardar thing, right? He offers the necessary frontline lockdowns, as well as that physical damage burst. Alchemist, not the highest armor hero. 14 armor, relies on long fights, but just cannot stand toe-to-toe when he's Corrosive Hazed in this game.
Yeah, really enabling the Phantom Lancer, and you know, in theory, the Alchemist doesn't have a bad matchup into the PL. Later on, you get the Cleave, the Radiance is pretty good early as well, but he just goes down so early. The Radiance can't do its work, he can't regen up with the Chemical Rage. Catching the PL, that would be pretty nice. Does have the Doppelganger to the low ground. Instead, they're gonna go for Robo Z. Robo Z, low mana, is able to Astral Step away. Blake still with the chase. Won't be able to find anything, and we've seen multiple times Salchipapa, they get burned when they overextend. This time, not going to be the case.
And you did mention, you talked there about how the Alchemist, he deals pretty well with the PL scaling. You know, you have the Radiance, you get the Cleave. The problem is that the PL isn't needed to kill Alchemist this game. It's mostly the Slardar, who, by the way, is just bludgeoning this Ogre to death. Goodbye, Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, Ember Spirit taken down.
Oh my gosh. The double Fade Bolt does so much damage. And this is all without PL. It doesn't feel like PL is gonna be like the hard carry this game. It feels like it's the Slardar, doesn't it? He's the one standing in there early, right-clicking the heroes, getting the damage out. And the most immediate concern for the Radiant is dealing with Draken. It's not dealing with the PL. They have a serious Slardar problem on their hands right now. If she's got that blink finish, they might just look for Roche.
Yeah, once he gets the BKB, gonna be even harder to deal with. On the flip side, Ember Spirit, he's gone down so many times this game. Trying to contest Roshan, we'll see if it works out for them. Roshan's still pretty healthy as it stands, but they haven't committed too much. Ogre goes into the pit. It's just Roshan bashing him up, and the illusions ends up going down. Very little commitment from Balrogs. Do you really want to hang around here when you're down to members? Trying to get the initiation here. Mars goes in, but just has to walk back out. Finally coming in here on the Alchemist, trying to get that follow-up. It's looking decent for now, but really without the Chemical Rage, without the Ogre buff, can they deal with the cores? Yes, you kill the supports. Going in once again, straight onto the backline. Slaughter deleting Blake there. Well, the buybacks are going to go for the chase.
Oh, they find the Ember. He has no mana. No, not again.
The bashes, my goodness. Death after death here on the Ember Spirit. He's already gotten 7 deaths this game, just not what you want whatsoever from your mid laner.
We talked about it, right? It's like, yeah, you picked Ember. They picked this Ember early on. He's gonna get countered. Just has not had any game whatsoever. There's so many stuns on Dire. Right? There's the Slardar stun, chain stun, the bashes, the soulbind, the silence, the lift. There's so much. Oh, there's now a spear stolen up here by ZXCA on the Rubik.
I like your move.
And on the other side, the initiation from Salchipapa, yes, it got a couple of supports, but it just couldn't deal with the cores whatsoever. And again, like you're saying, it's not just the PL. Playing so aggressively on the starter, he goes in blinking completely fearlessly.
And he's, I mean, he's look at it. I'm just looking. He's got 2600 HP. Oh, there's the Weaver catch.
Yeah, plenty of stuns, silences to deal with him. You are going nowhere. Now Roshan has regenerated most of its HP. Are Balrogs gonna commit for this?
I think what they want to do is they want to start it and force the Radiant to respond while they're still farming in their other areas. They're just gonna take the fight. Never mind.
Hyper aggression coming out from Balrogs. Haven't found anyone just yet. That soulbind is pretty pesky, but it's gonna expire very soon. They do get the overkill, but he's not that important. He buys back anyway, now turning things around. So much damage from our Alchemist. He doesn't have that much mana, but doesn't need it to slap at people. They are able to take down the Void, most importantly. This could be big, though. They've caught the PL. He is going to get taken down finally there. The chain somehow hitting him in the middle of all those illusions. That was huge.
That was a bit lucky. You'll take it, though, if you're Embers. Anything to get him more involved into this game. And that time, it's Balrogs who go a bit too deep. They don't quite have the damage to follow up on the Alchemist this time. And that'll pretty much be the Alch getting his BKB done. He just needs 100 gold to his name to get that finished BKB. What's the BKB looking like for the Slardar? He just about has his as well, about 800 gold, but this could be a powerful spike here as the Alch reaches unkillable status with that magic immunity.
Alchemist also getting a pretty nice neutral item in the Dragon skill, just tanking him up that much more.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's absolutely massive. You're right. It pretty much counteracts the Slardar. It's, I guess not completely. It's +5 armor. So it's close-ish. Maybe not. I guess the Slardar's actually level 18. Oh my gosh. Never mind. It's -20 armor on that now with the level 3. So it's nice. It'll help him a little bit, but if you get corrosive, you still gotta be real scared.
Yeah, it feels like in that last fight, the PL couldn't deal enough damage. This is big, though. The smoke breaks onto the ideal target. He is somewhat hard to kill with the Mantis Stout. Can they actually finish him off? He gets the Chemical Rage. The BKB activated a little too late there. That is going to be a huge kill. The Ogre died earlier as well. A dieback on him. This could be Balrog's moment to finally get into the Roshan pit, finally take that down.
I don't think he saw what Rubik had stolen. Rubik had the Fire Blast stolen. So the chain stun coming out from him with the Inkswell and then the Slardar follow-up was just a bit too much for him. He didn't expect that amount of chain stun to come out. And that is a crippling death for him as they're going to now lose the Aegis. That'll go the way of the PL. And boy, does the game get really hard now. It's a 3k gold lead, but you have to remember, one team has Alchemist. So when you have the gold lead against an Alchemist, you're already winning, it feels like. Like the game
no,
is
that's
already,
a very good point. We totally expect the Alchemist to be ahead in net worth, but just barely there. Gonna be going on to the Alchemist once again. This time, the BKB, it just doesn't do enough. And kill after kill like this onto your Alchemist, back-to-back deaths when the enemy is very clearly in a controlling position with the Aegis. It's not looking good. They're just bleeding out so many kills here at the worst possible time.
Oh man, this Alch, just back-to-back deaths, not respecting this chain stun, I guess. Just doesn't pop the BKB. You can BKB off. You don't get chain stunned by the Yule's Aether Remnant. You can BKB as you fall to the ground there, but just doesn't do it. Instead, gets Slardar crushed right immediately after, and then the chain CC with the bashes comes through.
It's starting to feel like a bit of a repeat of the last game. Just the position 1, trying to farm, not exactly doing well in that regard, and joins the fights, doesn't do anything whatsoever, or just get picked off while he's by himself.
Absolutely. It felt like they were taking decent fights here on the Radiant, but now just these last 3 minutes have been a total disaster as Balrogs more or less in complete control now. 3 minutes still on the Aegis. He's gonna have, he's got a complete heart on the PL.
You know what I find really interesting, actually? Blake on the Weaver, he's got the Maelstrom queued up. I'm not too sure about that when clearly your Alchemist is having survival problems. They're gonna go trying to turn around to the Void Spirit and get the chain stun this time around. That is pretty nice. Can they get something more?
I don't know if the Void Spirit dies there if they don't get that multicast, actually. So Jimmy Koff coming in clutch there. You mentioned the Weaver Maelstrom. This is more of like a we need some sort of damage. We just need more. So Blake, he's having a pretty good game still on this pos for Weaver. They're gonna look to try. Oh, that's my fault. I'll take the blame. That's a caster's curse. He immediately dies.
Yeah, definitely contributed a lot, but feels like these days he is just dying.
And it was an interesting response from Balrog. So they opened the Grim Void Spirit, and those two heroes have been the main perpetrators at killing. Oh, Alk just popped the BKB. They saw it too, didn't they?
No. Oh, no. Ooh, nice dodge there with the Manta. Can that buy enough time? ZXCA didn't quite have the vision there. Definitely had the range on the lift, so getting away with murder almost on Salchipapa, but still no BKB means pretty difficult to fight, going very deep, not actually finding anyone on Draken. But that doesn't matter. They're going to turn around and get some damage onto this tier 3, maybe even go for the full lane of Rax.
Oh, they're absolutely going to go for the second Rax, or for this Rax. There's still a minute on the Aegis. They have the full heart on PL. So he is pretty much unkillable now. And Berna, he's just going to walk in here and hit these barracks. They get the Soulbind connection.
Yeah, Weaver again, just dying back to back here. Really feels like he's lost a lot of that survivability, and so much damage coming in from the Phantom Lancer as well. He's got the heart, he's in the front lines. Aegis still there. He's just not afraid of anything.
They just run out of damage really on the Radiant. The PL is too large, and they aren't tanky enough either, right? They don't have the armor, they don't have the HP required to fight into the corrosive haze, into the physical damage.
Yeah, honestly, you expect the Alchemist to be a full item ahead of the Phantom Lancer, but it's just not happening. Does pop the Chemical Rage now. Pretty nice dodge there. With the Doppelganger, Berna looking to turn things around. Do have to be a bit careful with the Aegis timing, but it's still plenty to take down the melee Rax bottom. Won't be able to take the mid-racks though. Perhaps looking to disengage. No, still going to be going back in. Big silence coming out. Alchemist finally using the BKB to good effect here, but does get bashed anyway. That goes for BKB, and now the Chemical Rage running out. They're able to finish off that kill. And without the Alchemist, he's got no buyback, no BKB anyway. It might just be the beginning of the end here.
Oh, great arena.
Arena turning things around, but do they have the damage? That's going to be the main problem. Burna is regenerating the entire time with that heart. Might even look to turn around here. Now lift up there onto the Ember Spirit. Not enough to protect.
And immediately, he gets immediately silenced by the Ags of the Void Spirit. And this was just not Ember's game. We said he was struggling this game. 6, 8, and 10 on him. It just really never felt like he came into the game, and a lot of it is virtue to those mid lane rotations, right? Sexy Yogi on the Grimstroke 2 times in that early game. He goes mid, they find the kills onto the Ember Spirit, and that really crippled his game.
Ember Spirit, when you're ahead, you can really use your mobility to bully the enemy, but that just didn't happen whatsoever. Instead, it was just a lot of disjointed initiations from Salchipapa, sometimes going in a little too deep. And at the end of the day, just a core-on-core matchup. Alchemist, very far behind the Phantom Lancer now. It's just not great. Nice silence there. No instant initiation. RoboZ will be able to get out of there. And stolen Shikuchi, actually. Everyone on the side of Balrogs going to be fine for now. Kind of looking for the re-engage. You're not committing super deep. No, we are going to commit here finally with Draken. He's got the Inkswell on him. He's got the bashes. Slip going to be taking a bash to the face very soon. BKB used to get effect there from our Slardar. And it turns just go from bad to worse.
They get beat over the head with the whatever Slardar's carrying, a big axe there or whatever. And
absolute disaster there, bleeding out so many kills, and obviously the Alchemist the biggest of them all.
It's this has been rough. There was a little bit of back and forth there in that early to mid game, but you did get the sense, right? This PL, he's just like a ticking time bomb. Eventually, he's gonna get these items with how the game was progressing, and now we've reached that point. Burna, Heart, BKB, Manta, and the other cores too. Slardar, BKB, AC. They can't touch him. He's literally sitting outside the fountain.
Yeah, this game is pretty over, even if GG hasn't been called. Pretty good performance there from Balrogs. Even though things felt even, they were still suppressing the Alchemist, or maybe the Alchemist was just running into them a little too much.
Maybe a little bit of both. They're gonna attempt to give it a last hurrah here. 8 seconds on their respawns. Maybe they have one last fight in them as they maybe they'll back up.
Roshan is available. I suppose that's the safest play. No need to try and force the end when you're so far ahead. The smoke up though, like you're saying, the last hurrah, the Hail Mary. We'll see if we can find anything. Pretty easy targets on the supports, but after that, can you deal with the cores? They actually get counter-initiated on. You do get a nice arena, able to take down the Grimstroke. That is something, but Draken stands tall with that BKB. Finally does expire. Doesn't matter. He gets the bashes. He gets the roll physical damage. What can our Alchemists do? They are able to take down Draken, sure, but can they deal with the Phantom Lancer afterwards? Just so much damage coming out. The HP is melting. But does get a bit of regen from the Chemical Rage. That is something. Is able to survive with other person's haze, but it just doesn't seem to matter when the rest of their heroes are getting cleaned up. And actually, eventually does go down there. He decided to walk back in without the Chemical Rage. I don't know about that one.
I think he was stuck there no matter what. Just he was out of options. No BKB, no ulti, no mana. PL just chases him down there, and that'll pretty much be the game. No buybacks. There is one on the Mars, but Burna, he's like, all right, guys, I'm done. Buys a Deso. Gonna start hitting the Ancient here.
Buyback into the Spear of Mars, landing onto absolutely nothing. They even go for the wrong illusion there. that's just going to be the full cleanup. I really don't see what more you can do as Salchipapa. As they get team wiped, that's going to be a GG called.
This was, I mean, it was a little closer than last game, a little clowny or a little more brawl heavy. But at the end of the day, it always felt like Balrogs was in control, didn't it? Out from the laning stage, even with a couple of those weird fights, they just always seemed to have a pretty stable understanding of what they needed to be doing. They recognize Alchemist. He's on this timer, right? You're against the PL. The PL will win that matchup eventually, and so they just kept battling. They let their PL farm. They got a couple nice kills on the Alch. Easy game eventually there for Balrogs.
Yeah, it's just this Alchemist hero, last pick Alchemist as well, just didn't do what an Alchemist is supposed to do. And when that happens, it's never going to be a good game for you.
Completely agree. And I mean, I think after watching both these games, Balrogs just the better team all around, right? And the game scores and the game times really tell the tale of those of just how maybe worlds apart both these teams are. Balrogs just looking to be a couple steps up here on Salchipapa. Of course, Balrogs, most of these players have been playing together for a decent amount of time. Some of them coming from X Infinity, I believe. They had played together. And Salchipapa, they come in from the open qualifiers. They do a great job coming through, but Balrog showing them who's in charge.
Yep. Right now, looking at the overall standings, it's not great for Salchipapa. They have yet to win a single game. But as you're saying, open qualifier teams sometimes just going into this as a bit of an underdog. But that is going to be it from us for now. We do have more games lined up, going to be kicking off tomorrow a bit earlier than today. Anything you want to say before we close out here, Brightside?
I don't. Shout out to ePulse for organizing this awesome tournament. It's been a blast.
All right. Yeah. So let me just confirm when our next games will start tomorrow. It's going to be starting at 4 p.m. Lima time, so 1600. That's going to be GMT -5. We'll see you tomorrow.